Well, hello, YouTube. It's been a little while since we've done a mountain update for Southern California fishing, and it's that time. So let's get into it. We're coming into fall. It's the last day of August. It's actually snowing in Wyoming today. So winter and fall temperatures are coming, even though if you've been watching that forecast, it looks like 110-degree temps coming again for the Inland Empire this coming weekend, basically, toward the end of this week. It's going to be brutal hot, but no worries. It's going to be cool enough, not too far out. So, what is the deal with the fishing in the local mountains? Every time this time of year, people kind of go into a small panic up in the mountains because they go up to Big Bear and the fishing's kind of rough and they see a bunch of algae everywhere and they wonder, is it just going to be terrible this fall or winter? And I think most people think that summer is the trout fishing season for these mountains, and it's not. The better fishing is late fall and winter in our local mountains. But let's get into it. So what's going to happen this fall and winter up in our local mountains, and what's the conditions right now? So Big Bear, what's going on right now? They haven't had many plants. They had one plant in July from the Department of Fish and Game, and I'm actually not sure where they got those fish from because it was around then that the hatcheries went down. So it might have been literally the last plant to go in before they had that hatchery problem. So, but nevertheless, there was a plant that went in. It wasn't that big. There's been no private plants there, and that's about it. There are plenty of fish in Big Bear Lake. It's just that time of year, guys. There's no oxygen in the water, and what happens is the fish just kind of go lethargic, and there's not much feeding going on. So people struggle. They don't know why they're not getting fish, and that's why it's just typical summer fishing conditions. But that's going to change, but it's going to be a little while. You're probably looking at maybe late September before you start seeing them perk up a little bit. So if you want my tip, keep an eye on those temperatures up there. When you start seeing the temps go into the 40s and 30s, look for the fish to start to perk up a little bit. When they're going to wake up, start to bite a little more often, and you'll see the bite come around mainly on the west side first, and then eventually they'll start moving to the east side of the lake. But for right now, pretty quiet up there in Big Bear Lake. Not much going on. A couple of fish being caught with slip bobbers down by the dam, and that's about it. There's really not a whole lot going on up there. So if you're on a boat, you can troll and get a couple of fish, but mainly it's going to be from that last plant they put in, and they're pretty small fish. But for some people, that's good enough. So if that's you, you can get up there and get a couple of those right now. So that's going to be it. Let's head over to Jenkins Lake. That's just over here in the south part of the mountain here. Um, there's not much happening at Jenks. Basically, what's going to go down here is they don't have any sources of fish. There's no concession here that's going to encourage some kind of a fish plant. So really, what's happening at Jenks Lake is what's in there is what's in there, and there's mainly bass and a couple of trout, and that's it. So the fishing game, they have no hatcheries locally to stock it. So Jenks is going to suffer. There's going to be hardly any fish. Let's go over to another spot, highly fished spot. I was actually near here not long ago. I came in, dropped in on Green Valley Lake, and just to check on it, see what's going on. And wow, I mean, it was a little bit interesting. So, because if you went on their Facebook page, go on to Green Valley Fishing on Facebook, you'll see a recent post from them, which is a really bizarre post, but it says, like they're answering a Rumorville question and answer type thing, and they're saying, "Are you guys not planting anymore?" And it says, "Not true. We're still planting fish, but As you can see, there's been hatchery problems. So that's what, and with water temps and hatchery problems, we're not getting them right now, but we will. So, well, that's confusing because Green Valley doesn't really depend on fish and game fish anymore. It's mainly private stock. In fact, last I was knowing, it was 99% that. I'm not even sure they receive state fish. So I'm not sure what they were talking about there, considering they get their fish from private plants. I just think they're not planting. I don't know why they're not planting. I don't know if it's a money issue, if it's who knows. Maybe their water temps legitimately aren't good enough to plant, and they don't want them to die, and that's fine. But it just they're being a little bit deceptive up there, and I'm not sure what the deal is there. Historically, they would just put fish in year round, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But either way, not a lot of people fishing there and not a lot of fish. So probably not worth it, especially for people coming from a long way away. I would not go there until you have definitively seen a post online, like a trout truck pulling up and dumping fish in there. If you haven't seen video of that, I would not go there. Don't go there until you've actually seen some fish planted, and you know for sure there's some action there, because other than that, there's nothing going on there. It's really dead. So I wouldn't bother with that, especially considering how much it costs. Green Valley Lake. Let's not forget that Green Valley, or Green Valley. Gregory is a county lake. It is not just some Forest Service lake. This is considered a county lake, no different than like Glen Helen or Ukaipa and any of the other lakes. It is a county lake, and they have been struggling finding a concessioner for this lake. They've had a couple of offers. They had one lined up, and then when COVID hit, the concessionaire backed out. So they have nothing. They basically have nothing, or at least they are not announcing anything. And so that's where it stands. So, well, what does that mean for Lake Gregory? Basically, there will be no fish plants, and until, because there's nobody to like fund it. So the county unlikely will fund any fish plants because they kind of contract with the concessionaire, and then the concessionaire is the one that does all that bidding for them to kind of handle what's going on at the lake. But for now, it still does cost money to fish at this lake, which is ridiculous considering the fishing there is terrible. There hasn't been any plants. The lake's overrun with carp, some big carp. If you're into carp fishing, this is probably California's carp capital right now. And I've seen some massive carp being caught out of here. But trout fishing is dead, 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 dead. There are some trout in there. I mean, it'll be a little while before they're willing to bite. But let's remember they dredged this lake, which was a good thing. It's one of the only good things that has happened. They had a dredge out here and help fix the depth of the lake, which is great. That's such good news. But then they never planted any fish. So we're waiting, and it's probably going to be a little while. Hopefully they can recover this lake. This used to be one of my favorite lakes in all of Southern California. So this fall, I don't think you're going to see too many changes as far as the fishing conditions. I mean, it would take a big announcement from the county to see any kind of change there. And I don't know. I just don't think you're going to see it. And let's not hold out. In other words, don't hold your breath. So moving over to Silverwood Lake, part of the mountain lakes. A lot of people don't really realize that, but it is considered part of the San Bernardino mountain range here. Silverwood is a last of the Mohicans. I mean, it's literally one of the last lakes. And you know what? To be honest, I would never have thought what I'm about to say, but it is one of the last lakes to be consistent with fishing. Historically, Silverwood Lake has gone through a lot with the fishing. It's been good, it's been bad, it's been good, it's been bad. But lately, man, they are doing, whoever's running Silverwood Lake and running the fishing side of it there with the fish plants and such, they are doing a fantastic job because they have been keeping up. The striper bite is red hot there, and the trout fishing is amazing every year, as you can probably see from the volume of videos out there on YouTube and other places. It has just become a ground zero for fishing. I mean, it's taken over for. It's better than Eastern Sierra right now. I mean, that's how crazy it is, and annually, it's almost like they're going to have a trout opener here, and there's going to be a bunch of people here someday. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's that good. Right now, it's 110 degrees out there, and trout fishing is a little tough for people. We talk about it regularly on the Patreon side, and I give some tips on some locations of where to fish. So if you're interested in that on a weekly, some tips for weekly trout action, head over to the Patreon and in the link below, and you can learn about that. But I suspect that plants will resume here. They do get Department of Fish and Game fish here, and so I think they'll suffer a little bit because of that. But Silverwood Lake is known for getting private plants. They've been getting a lot of private stocks. Mount Lassen, I know Jess's Ranch. I mean, there's been a lot of private plants coming in here from all over the place, and I wouldn't doubt for a second if they just get some of those. And when they plant, they usually plant pretty big too. Some pretty big plants, not these cheap 400-pound plants that you've been seeing up in the Sierra. These ones here have been in the thousands and thousands. So really good for this lake. I remember a few years ago they planted a couple of loads of brown trout in here, and that was kind of fun. So I imagine some of those fish are still in the lake. And yeah, probably going to see somebody catching like a 5 or 10-pound brown here not long away. So that's it for Silverwood. So this fall, winter, look for it to be pretty good. And we'll be updating on this channel. We'll be talking about it on Patreon, of course. But I suspect it will be a great place this fall and winter. Hopefully it's an earlier winter, so sometime this October, trout fishing will resume and it'll be good there. But I think it will be. I think they're going to do good. Missing a couple of trout plants, of course, with the Fish and Game thing. But other than that, we're doing good. A little sign action while we're in the area. Hesperia Lake, just up the road here. I don't think they'll have any problems getting fish because they're a private place. They don't rely on Fish and Game at all. It'll be private plants. It's been really bad here the last few years, really small plants, and literally fished out right away. So just a little side place up in the area that we'll talk about. So that's pretty much it for the San Bernardino Mountain trout forecast. A couple of side notes: the streams like Deep Creek and over here, and right along in here, and a couple other creeks. They're still fishable. I mean, there's some challenges in getting into some of those areas for people. You should know the area. There's a couple of ways to get down in there and fish it. But there's some fish in there, and be gentle on those fish if you happen to head down those ways and find a couple of pools. Remember to catch and release, guys. We're in those conservation days of fishing in California, and hopefully down the line we'll see some political figures that will, see the value in all this and see the value in fishing and do something about it. But I'm not holding my breath right now. But you know what? When you never know. So in the meantime, let's catch and release. Let's do a little bit more conservation out there and try to, be conservative while you can, while the fishing is a little bit light on the plant side, because we don't know when this is going to get repaired. They're saying it's going to be a few years before they really get into it. And they said they're going to try to outsource some of the plants to other hatcheries to help take up the loss. But it's going to do damage, guys. It's going to do damage. So the outlook's not all bad. Big Bear's going to be okay. Silverwood should be okay. And we'll update both on this channel and on Patreon as often as possible. So hope you guys are doing good. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you guys soon. I've got some trips coming up in the very near future, so stay tuned for that. If you have any questions or anything like that, post up. Always email and all that good stuff. So hopefully you guys are doing good. COVID is, we're getting through it. We're almost through this stuff. It's probably going to be another year or so, but don't be afraid. Hey, get out there, enjoy your family, spend time with your family, guys. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.